Jake Morrison had always prided himself on being the kind of guy who could fix anything with duct tape, determination, and a healthy disrespect for manufacturer warranties. Which is why, when the Galactic Council Station's premium executive washroom developed what the work order described as a minor blockage, Jake figured it would be another Tuesday. He should have known better when the alien toilet started glowing. "Okay, that's new," Jake muttered, adjusting his grip on the plunger. The toilet, which looked like someone had crossed a regular porcelain throne with a disco ball and possibly a small nuclear reactor, was definitely not supposed to be humming the opening notes to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. The minor blockage turned out to be some kind of interdimensional waste portal that had gotten clogged with what Jake could only describe as sentient space lettuce. And when he tried to unclog it, because that's what you do with clogs, the entire wall decided to take a vacation and disappeared. And behind the wall was a vault. A very shiny, very important-looking vault filled with artifacts that were definitely not supposed to be touched by someone whose highest security clearance was authorized to use the good mop. "Well, this is suboptimal," Jake said, staring at the collection of glowing orbs, crystalline weapons, and what appeared to be a disco ball made of pure energy. He was pretty sure touching any of them would either grant him cosmic powers or turn him into cosmic dust, possibly both. That's when the alarm started. Apparently, cosmic disco balls have very sensitive security systems. The security guards who burst through the door looked like someone had taken a rhinoceros, given it anger management issues, and then dressed it in space armor that was clearly compensating for something. They also had 4 arms each, which seemed excessive but was probably great for multitasking. "Human scum," bellowed the lead guard, whose name tag read grok in 17 different languages. "You dare defile the sacred vault of ancient doomy things that should not be touched." "In my defense," Jake said, still holding his plunger, "your toilet was making Beethoven noises, and I'm pretty sure that violates several health codes." This did not improve his situation. 10 minutes later, Jake found himself standing in front of Commander Vextar, who looked like someone had taken a squid, sent it to military academy, and then given it a serious case of chronic dissatisfaction with the universe. "So," Vextar said, his forearms gesticulating in what Jake assumed was either excitement or preparation for ritual disembowelment, "the humans send us their finest warrior. A janitor." "An sanitation engineer," Jake corrected. "I have a certificate and everything." Vextar's main eye twitched. "Do you know why humans are the most problematic species in the galaxy? Because we ask awkward questions at dinner parties? Because you refuse to die properly." Vextar slammed all 4 fists on his desk, which was impressive from a coordination standpoint. "Every other species, when faced with certain death, has the decency to accept their fate with dignity. But humans? You turn it into performance art." Jake considered this. "I mean, if you're going to die, might as well make it entertaining." "Exactly." Vextar's tentacles were practically vibrating with indignation. "And that, janitor, is why you're going to prove once and for all that humanity doesn't deserve its place in the galaxy. You're going to face the trial of worthiness." That sounds ominous. It is. And probably fatal. Extremely. Jake shrugged. "Well, beats explaining to my supervisor why there's interdimensional lettuce in the executive bathroom." The holding cell was what Jake could only describe as aggressively uncomfortable. The walls were covered in what looked like motivational posters, except instead of cute cats hanging from branches, they featured various alien species experiencing what appeared to be existential dread. One particularly cheerful poster read despair. "It's not just a feeling, it's a lifestyle choice in 17 languages." "You know," said a voice from the corner, "most people start with screaming when they get thrown in here." Jake turned to see a woman in a lab coat sitting cross-legged on the floor, apparently using alien technology to play what looked like interdimensional solitaire. She had the kind of messy brown hair that suggested she had more important things to worry about than styling products, and the kind of sarcastic smile that suggested she found the universe's attempts to kill her personally amusing. "Dr. Luna Rodriguez," she said, not looking up from her cards. "Xenobiologist, cosmic prisoner, and part-time philosopher on the futility of existence. You must be the guy who broke into the vault. Jake Morrison, sanitation engineer, and apparently cosmic disappointment. How long have you been here? 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. But who's counting? Luna finally looked up. Let me guess. They're putting you through the trial of worthiness? That's the one. You know anything about it? Luna laughed, and it wasn't entirely pleasant. Oh, I know everything about it. See, they put every human they capture through the trial. It's supposedly this ancient test that proves whether a species deserves to exist in the galaxy. Sounds reasonable. What's the catch? Nobody's ever passed it. Ever. In 3,000 years. We're talking about a 100% fatality rate across 47 different species. Well, when you put it like that, it sounds almost challenging. Before Luna could respond, the cell door burst open, and what could only be described as human enthusiasm in military dress came barreling in. Jake Morrison, boomed a voice that could probably be heard in the next solar system. Captain Rex Steelworth, Space Marines, Galactic Division of Making Things Explode in Interesting Ways. I hear you're taking the trial. Rex looked like someone had taken a recruitment poster, given it steroids, and then trained it to speak in exclamation points. His uniform was so perfectly pressed that Jake was pretty sure it could cut glass, and his smile was so aggressively cheerful it was practically a weapon. Let me guess, Jake said. You failed the trial too? Failed? I lasted 47 minutes. That's a station record. Rex looked genuinely proud of this. Of course, I also accidentally destroyed 3 testing chambers and somehow got the maze pregnant, but that's beside the point. How do you get a maze pregnant? Luna asked. Very carefully, and with a lot of paperwork afterward, Rex replied seriously. Luna turned to Jake. Here's what you need to know about the trial. It's not actually testing worthiness. I've been analyzing the energy readings, and every time someone dies in there, the station's power grid gets a massive boost. They're harvesting life energy. That's deeply unethical, Jake said. And probably illegal in at least 47 systems, Luna added. But definitely exciting. Rex contributed. I mean, morally questionable, yes, but think of the adrenaline rush. Rex, you're not helping. I'm being supportive. Luna sighed. The point is, they're not just testing humans. They're systematically eliminating any species that might pose a threat to their power structure. And according to their files, humans are at the top of the threat list. Because we're dangerous? Jake asked. Because we're unpredictable. And apparently unpredictability is the one thing their perfect system can't account for. Jake considered this. So what you're telling me is that they want me to die in a rigged test so they can steal my life force and to use it to power their space station while eliminating humanity as a potential threat to their galactic dominance? That's about the size of it, yes. And my chances of survival are approximately 0? Statistically speaking, yes. Jake grinned. Well, this should be interesting. The trial of worthiness began, as most cosmic horror shows do, with footwear that violated several laws of physics and definitely broke at least 3 health codes. Those, said Jake, staring at the boots that had been provided for him, are literally filled with broken glass. Congratulations on your astute observation skills, Vextar replied through the intercom. The trial begins with a simple 42-kilometer run through the maze of inevitable doom. Catchy name. While wearing the boots of suffering. Also catchy. And avoiding the death traps of unpleasant endings. You guys really need better marketing people. Jake picked up the boots, which clinked ominously. The glass inside wasn't just broken. It was sharp enough to cut space-time. And it was definitely glowing with some kind of energy that probably wasn't covered by standard health insurance. This is Jake Morrison, came Luna's voice through the comm device Rex had smuggled to him. I've managed to hack into the station's monitoring system. The good news is I can see everything that's happening to you. What's the bad news? Everything that's happening to you is designed to kill you in creative and painful ways. Jake. Rex's voice boomed over the comm. Remember, pain is just weakness leaving the body. Rex, that's not helpful when the weakness is being replaced by broken glass. Think of it as aggressive acupuncture. Jake laced up the boots, which immediately began doing things to his feet that he was pretty sure weren't covered in the employee handbook. The glass wasn't just cutting. It was somehow absorbing the energy from the cuts and channeling it into the maze walls. Luna, are you seeing this? The energy absorption? Yeah, that's new. It's like the boots are designed to harvest pain and convert it into power for the maze. Great, so I'm basically a human battery. A human battery running a death course designed by sadists with too much time and not enough therapy. Jake stepped into the maze and immediately understood why nobody had ever survived it. The walls were covered in spinning blades, the floor was designed to collapse at random intervals, and the ceiling was apparently home to what could only be described as angry geometric shapes with teeth. But here's the thing about humans that the Galactic Council had apparently overlooked. We're really, really good at being stubborn about stupid things. Okay, Jake muttered, dodging a spinning blade while his boots tried to eat his feet. Let's see what we're working with here. The maze wasn't just random. There was a pattern to the traps, a rhythm to the spinning death machines. And more importantly, there were maintenance panels hidden behind some of the more elaborate torture devices. Luna, I'm seeing access panels. This whole maze is basically one giant machine. That makes sense. If they're harvesting energy from failed attempts, they'd need a way to maintain and upgrade the system. Jake ducked under a particularly aggressive wall of spikes and made his way to one of the panels. His lock-picking skills, honed by years of dealing with locked supply closets and bathroom doors with broken handles, came in surprisingly handy. Rex, remember when you accidentally got the maze pregnant? Hard to forget. Why? What exactly did you do? I found this glowing orb thing in the central chamber and, well, you know how it is. Glowing orb. Curious human, what could go wrong? You touched the power core, Luna said. Rex, you beautiful, reckless idiot, you found the central power core. Jake grinned as he rewired the access panel. And if there's a central power core? There's a way to overload the system, Luna finished. Jake, you're not just going to survive this trial. You're going to break it. The boots were still doing horrible things to his feet, and the maze was still trying to kill him in 17 different ways. But Jake Morrison had spent his entire career fixing things that weren't supposed to be fixable. And right now he was looking at the most broken system he'd ever seen. "In time to do what humans do best," Jake said, pulling out his trusty multi-tool. "What's that?" Luna asked. "Turn someone else's perfect plan into a complete disaster." The energy readings on Luna's screen went completely insane as Jake began systematically sabotaging every system he could find. The maze wasn't just failing, it was having what could only be described as a mechanical nervous breakdown. And somewhere in the control room, Commander Vextar realized he might have made a serious error in judgment. By the time Jake reached the center of the maze, his boots had basically become organic glass smoothies, but he was still walking. This was apparently so unprecedented that alarms were going off throughout the station. "Jake," Luna's voice crackled through the comm, "you've officially broken their system. The energy readings are off the charts, but instead of harvesting your life force, the maze is somehow channeling power back into the station's main grid. Is that good or bad? Well, you're not dead, which is good. But you've also accidentally turned their death trap into the galaxy's most inefficient power plant, which is probably going to make Vextar very angry." "How angry are we talking?" "The kind of angry that involves personal combat and probable dismemberment." Sure enough, the maze walls began retracting, revealing a circular arena where Commander Vextar was waiting. He had apparently decided that if the maze wouldn't kill Jake, he'd handle the job personally. "Human." Vextar's voice echoed through the arena. "You have defiled the sacred trial. I fixed your plumbing problems and accidentally improved your power efficiency," Jake called back. "You should be giving me a raise." You will face me in single combat. Choose your weapon. Jake looked down at his available options: a plunger, a multi-tool, a mop, and whatever was left of his dignity. He looked back up at Vextar, who was holding what appeared to be a sword made of crystallized lightning and existential dread. This seems slightly unfair, Jake observed. Rex. Luna's voice was urgent. Remember those artifacts from the vault? The ones Jake accidentally discovered? Run analysis on them, now. On it, came Rex's enthusiastic reply. Oh, this is interesting. Jake, those aren't just random alien artifacts. What are they? What are they? Weapons. Really illegal weapons left behind by the predecessor civilization. The ones who built this station before the Galactic Council took it over. Jake glanced back at the vault, which was now accessible thanks to his earlier plumbing adventure. Luna, do I have anything sharper than a plunger? Jake, you have access to weapons that predate most civilizations and probably violate several cosmic treaties. The real question is, how good are you at improvised physics? I once fixed a space toilet with duct tape and pure spite. How hard can ancient alien weapons be? Jake sprinted toward the vault, dodging energy blasts from Vextar's increasingly frustrated attacks. The alien artifacts were definitely not designed for human hands, but Jake had learned long ago that most problems could be solved with the right combination of percussive maintenance and complete disregard for manufacturer specifications. He grabbed what looked like a crystalline tuning fork and a sphere that was either a weapon or possibly the universe's most dangerous stress ball. Jake. Luna's voice was practically vibrating with excitement. According to the station's historical records, those are harmonic resonance disruptors. They can turn any solid object into a weapon by matching its natural frequency. English, please. Hit things with your mop, but with cosmic backup. Jake held up the mop, which immediately began glowing with enough energy to power a small star. Vextar's confident sneer faltered slightly. That's a cleaning implement, Vextar said. It's a cleaning implement with attitude, Jake replied. What followed was what Luna would later describe in her report as the most scientifically improbable combat sequence in recorded galactic history. Jake, wielding a cosmically enhanced mop and plunger combination, proceeded to turn the arena into the galaxy's most destructive cleaning demonstration. And that, Jake said, standing over the defeated Vextar while holding a plunger that was now apparently capable of creating small black holes, is how you handle a blockage. Vextar looked up at him with all four eyes. How? Simple, Jake grinned. I treated it like any other maintenance problem. You identify the source of the dysfunction, you find the right tools for the job, and you fix it. Your whole system was just badly maintained cosmic plumbing. But the trial, nobody ever tried to fix it instead of just surviving it. You built a death trap, but you forgot that humans don't just survive impossible situations. We improve them. The aftermath of Jake's victory revealed a truth that was somehow both cosmic in scope and utterly predictable. The Galactic Council had been running a protection racket on an intergalactic scale. So let me get this straight, Jake said, sitting in what used to be Vextar's command chair while Luna scrolled through the station's databases and Rex enthusiastically explored the weapons vault. The Galactic Council has been systematically eliminating any species they consider a threat to their authority by disguising murder as a worthiness test. That's the basic idea, Luna replied, not looking up from her screens. They've wiped out 47 different civilizations over the past 3,000 years, all in the name of galactic order and stability. And they were planning to do the same to humanity? We were next on the list. Apparently, our tendency to solve problems through creative applications of violence and inappropriate humor was deemed incompatible with galactic harmony. That's oddly specific. Rex emerged from the vault carrying what appeared to be a bazooka crossed with a disco ball. Jake, look what I found. It's a predecessor weapon designed to turn enemies into interpretive dance performances. Rex, put that down before you accidentally choreograph someone to death. But it's so shiny. Luna finally looked up from her work. Here's what we're dealing with. This station isn't just a council outpost. It's a collection point for all the species they've deemed unworthy. Look at these holding areas. The screens showed dozens of different alien life forms in various states of imprisonment. Some Jake recognized from galactic news reports as species that had supposedly gone extinct or disappeared mysteriously. Others were completely unknown, which suggested the Council's definition of threat was fairly broad. They've been keeping survivors? Jake asked. Insurance, probably. Can't claim you're preserving galactic peace if there's evidence you committed genocide. So they keep a few specimens of each species as proof they're not completely extinct. That's horrifying. And also really bad record-keeping, Luna added. Half these imprisonment records are filed under miscellaneous cosmic disappointments. Jake stood up and activated the station's communication system. His voice echoed through every holding cell, every prison level, and probably half the nearby solar system. Attention former victims of galactic systematic oppression, he announced. This is Jake Morrison, your new station administrator. Due to a recent change in management philosophy, we're implementing a new policy regarding cosmic worthiness trials. Specifically, they're canceled forever because they were stupid. The response was immediate and loud. Dozens of different species began making what Jake assumed were expressions of joy, confusion, or possibly hunger. It was hard to tell with some of the more tentacled prisoners. Furthermore, Jake continued, it appears that your former captors have been running an illegal energy harvesting operation disguised as a legitimate judicial process. As the new management, I'm proud to announce that we're switching to a more sustainable business model based on not being cosmic supervillains. Luna grinned. Jake, you realize you've just declared independence from the Galactic Council? Have I? You've liberated a council station, freed 47 supposedly extinct species, and basically announced that humanity is taking over their operation. Well, when you put it like that, it sounds almost rebellious. Rex appeared carrying an armload of alien weapons that were definitely not designed for human physiology. This is the best day ever. Are we starting a revolution? Rex, we're 3 humans and a bunch of alien prisoners on a space station in the middle of nowhere. So yes, we're starting a revolution. Jake looked around the command center. The screens showed dozens of alien faces looking back at him with expressions ranging from hope to confusion to what he was pretty sure was homicidal enthusiasm. You know what? Jake said finally. Why not? Luna, how's your knowledge of intergalactic law? Extensive and mostly focused on which parts can be safely ignored. Rex, how do you feel about being part of a cosmic insurrection? I feel like this is the most patriotic thing I've ever done, and I once saluted a flag so hard I dislocated my shoulder. Then I guess we're doing this. Jake turned back to the communication system. Attention newly liberated beings of various species and questionable life choices. You have 2 options. Option 1, we find you transportation back to your home systems assuming they still exist. Option 2, you help us turn this station into the galaxy's first interspecies cooperative dedicated to making sure nobody else gets subjected to fake worthiness trials. The response was overwhelmingly enthusiastic and included at least 3 marriage proposals, which Jake chose to interpret as expressions of political solidarity. Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted tentacled beings, Jake announced, welcome to the revolution. It's going to be weird, it's probably going to be illegal, and it's definitely going to be fun. 6 months later, the station that had once been a monument to cosmic oppression had been transformed into what the galactic news networks were calling either a beacon of interspecies cooperation or the most chaotic diplomatic disaster in recorded history, depending on which network you watched. Jake Morrison, now sporting the self-appointed title of Chief Maintenance Officer and occasional diplomat, was dealing with his morning routine of interdimensional coffee and reviewing the daily crisis reports. Jake, Luna called from her new office, which bore a sign reading Dr. Luna Rodriguez, Director of the Department of Making Sure Nobody Tries to Destroy Earth Again. We've got 17 different council fleets demanding we surrender, 3 marriage proposals from species that apparently find our rebellion attractive. And someone named Admiral Blorgfix wants to know if we're accepting internship applications. Tell the council fleets they can file a complaint with our new legal department, Jake replied. Tell the marriage proposals we're flattered but currently committed to cosmic justice. And tell Admiral Blorgfix that internships are available, but we can't guarantee his safety, because Rex is in charge of orientation. Speaking of Rex, he bounded into the command center wearing a uniform that was somehow even more aggressively military than his previous one, that bearing the title Captain Rex Steelworth, Director of Enthusiastic Morale and Tactical Optimism. Jake, fantastic news. Remember that Council enforcement fleet that was threatening to blast us into component atoms? The one from this morning? That's the one. They've decided to join us instead. They've what now? Apparently, once I explained our mission statement of cosmic justice through applied maintenance techniques and inappropriate humor, their entire crew decided they'd rather be part of the solution than part of the problem. Jake rubbed his temples. Rex, how exactly did you explain our mission statement? I may have accidentally given them a 2-hour presentation on human military tactics, complete with visual aids and interpretive dance. Please tell me you didn't use the dance-inducing bazooka. Only for the finale. Luna emerged from her office carrying a tablet and wearing the expression of someone who had been dealing with cosmic bureaucracy for too long. Jake, we need to talk about our expansion problem. We're expanding too fast? We're expanding too successfully. We now have 43 different species represented on this station. We're providing refugee services for 6 different star systems. And somehow Rex has managed to establish diplomatic relations with a sentient nebula. The nebula is very friendly, Rex protested. And it makes excellent cosmic tea. The point is, Luna continued, we've accidentally become a major political force in this sector. The Council can't ignore us anymore, and they can't destroy us because we've got too many witnesses and allies. Jake looked out the command center's main viewport at the collection of ships surrounding the station. What had started as a desperate escape plan had somehow evolved into a genuine interspecies community. Ships from dozens of different worlds were docked at their improvised ports, and the station's corridors echoed with languages that hadn't been heard in the galaxy for centuries. You know what the strangest part is? Jake said. What? What? We're actually good at this. Humans, I mean. We're good at bringing different groups together and making them work as a team. Even when those groups include species that communicate through controlled explosions and others that exist primarily as sentient mathematical equations, Luna added. Especially then. We specialize in impossible situations. Rex appeared carrying what looked like a cosmic fruit basket. Jake, the Zephyrian delegation sent us a thank you gift for helping them establish their new colony. It's a collection of fruits that exist in 7 dimensions simultaneously. That's thoughtful. Are they safe to eat? Only one way to find out. Rex. No. Rex, yes. Jake watched his friends argue about the safety of interdimensional fruit and realized something that would have seemed impossible 6 months ago. He was happy. Not just satisfied or content, but genuinely happy. He was part of something bigger than himself, something that mattered. Luna, he said, remember when Vextar said that humans refuse to die properly? Yeah? He was right. We don't just refuse to die properly. We refuse to fail properly, we refuse to give up properly, and apparently we refuse to run a space station properly. And that's a good thing? Jake grinned as Rex successfully convinced a delegation of crystalline beings to try interdimensional fruit salad, while a sentient gas cloud offered diplomatic advice and that a former council enforcer learned how to operate a mop. Luna, we turned a cosmic death trap into a community center. We made friends with people who were supposed to be our executioners. We took the galaxy's most successful oppression system and turned it into a refugee assistance program. Your point? My point is that the galaxy is learning something important about humans. We don't just survive impossible odds. We turn them into opportunities to make things better for everyone. Luna smiled. even when those opportunities involve broken glass boots and weaponized janitorial equipment. Especially then. Outside the viewport, another ship was requesting docking permission. Another species looking for help. Another group that had been told they weren't worthy of existing in the galaxy. And Jake Morrison, former janitor turned cosmic revolutionary, prepared to prove once again that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or violence. It was the absolute refusal to accept that anything was impossible when there were friends to be made and problems to be solved. Even if those problems required really creative applications of plumbing equipment.